is none other than David Yiling Lee, and he is the founder of the Trinity Network. So David, thank you so much for your time. We are on a very impressive credentials. You have been involved in Enshares before as a former overseas manager. You've also led the
Yes.
Enshares global token sale campaign in 2016. You were the co-founder of the Fourier PR China top marketing and consulting firm. And you were primarily involved in the crypto economics space in terms of managing projects in that domain. In terms of Fouriers also, you managed some very significant clients, and many of them have reached the top 100 list right now in the crypto market. So impressive,
Yes.
very impressive credentials. And once again, we're very fortunate to have you on. But today we're going to be talking about something that is very much a hot topic in the crypto space right now, especially if you know anything about Neo, and that is the Trinity
Mhm.
Network, and you are the founder. So let's talk about it in a very simplistic way. Let's start with the
Mhm.
obvious question. What is this Trinity Network?
Okay. So I will say Trinity Network is a state channel network that serves as a second layer protocol on top of Neo blockchain that will enable fast, okay, lightning fast and private payment channels between different peers. And also we will provide a lot of extra functionalities on our own, implementation of this protocol. It's an open source protocol. Everybody can use it. And we tend to make it simpler for people to understand, so we call it news reading or news read lightning. Yeah.
Okay, that's exciting. So just to sort of extrapolate that a bit, you mentioned the word off-chain. And for those people who don't understand the difference, can you talk to us about what off-chain means for a blockchain?
Yeah. So basically, when you're conducting a transaction on the blockchain, uh, this transaction itself, okay, all the information will be included and broadcasted through all the peers of the network. But the off-chain transaction is that you send a transaction to a peer, but this transaction itself is not necessarily, written on chain. That the public doesn't really know it.
Okay.
So
And
it can be, let's say, it can be Alice sending an apple to Bob within their own, private server. Well, this is very important because the other day I was already, because we already started working on this protocol. So I was pitching to, possible clients about this issue.
right.
So what we see right now, I don't know, I do know the situation in the West. Okay, people normally purchase items with credit cards. Okay, with online, you have to store your information once at least, and you still have to, type something. Okay, if you are doing it offline, you have to, at least swipe the card and wait a few seconds. In China, people use Alipay and WeChat Pay. It's a
Right.
little bit faster, and how fast it is, it's like sending an instant message. Okay, it's basically the same model. So it's very fast.
So, okay.
People who have experienced all these payment methods, they are not going to tolerate performance sacrifice. They will never do it. They don't want to understand the merits of a blockchain if it sacrifices the performance.
Exactly.
Okay, and so the problem is, okay, for example, I have my colleague, traveling in Japan right now. So we will know that Japan is a country who legalized the Bitcoin payment.
Correct.
Okay, but they don't do it like a normal blockchain on-chain transaction, because if you do that, you're trying to buy a coffee with blockchain, with Bitcoin. What happens? The coffee is already cold, and the confirmation haven't reached the six. So what they do is also doing it off-chain. So what they do is people deposit Bitcoin beforehand on exchange accounts, and when they want to make a payment, they use the interface of the exchange to send a message to the merchant. And the exchange will send fiat Japanese yen to the merchant, and they, deduct the same amount of Bitcoin on the exchange account. This
Interesting.
is basically an option transaction. It's not on chain, and this is the only way that can make this work. So, but there comes the question, or there comes the problem, that you cannot really rely on the decency of the exchange. Okay, they have a very high tendency, or let's say incentive,
That's
to
interesting.
do things that we don't want to see. Right? So, so that's a problem.
And just to
Yeah.
interject there for a moment, what you've made very clear is that BTC have made an off-chain solution, but it isn't necessarily a solution when you are relying on exchange. So your solution,
Yes.
as we'll talk about, is very different and much more secure.
Yes, I would say that's actually it's like I said, similar to Lightning Network or Raiden Network.
Right.
Bitcoin has Lightning, of course, and we have learned a lot from them. We also learned a lot from Eternity, which is, I believe, the first project brought up the idea of the concept of state channel. And many of them, like for example, like Eternity, were my past clients, so we were working very closely. I know the details. And actually, I am the first guy who gave the name state channel its Chinese term.
Wow.
Okay, so yeah,
That's
and
exciting.
my what I'm trying to say is I don't necessarily proclaim that I'm already much better than them because we are serving different platforms.
Right.
We have different business models and we have different mentalities when executing this. So
But David, what is
I have a lot
exciting?
of
Sorry,
admiration for Hidden Team and the Lightning Network team. Yeah.
but David, what is exciting? Sorry to interrupt before. Is that again to reinforce Neo's position? You are able to utilize the knowledge, the experience of these other
Mhm.
initiatives where they've done Raiden, they've
Sure.
done Lightning, so you
Sure.
can use it. Have you used those
Uh,
sort of proactively?
Actually, we did try the Lightning Network's testnets, and we also have seen, the launch of MicroRaiden, and but we have seen a very serious problem with this. Okay, with Lightning doesn't exist because there's a very titanic
Hmm.
ecosystem,
Right.
Bitcoin, of course. But with reading, it's hard because I have to stress this because reading is trying to build a protocol, which is completely fine. Okay, they raise the money for that, but the problem is you only build a protocol and you don't have a very user-friendly interface. You don't have users. You don't have users. You don't have developer interests. So
Right.
what they are counting on that a lot of developers automatically come to it and make their own implementation is very hard to happen. But for us, it's different because the idea of Trinity is to make things easier. So we don't want to, hustle, and wait for other people to do it. We're gonna do
Absolutely.
it ourselves. So what's going to happen is the Trinity Foundation will develop the open source protocol. Everybody can build their own implementation, build their own business. But for us, we will do like like a pilot project or to exemplify. So we will do our own Redstone version. Redstone is the for profit company. So in this version, we will be providing a very user-friendly interface. We'll be showing that on our Twitter very soon, and also at the Neo DevCon end of January. And people will not only be able to access state channel network very easily, just like easy to go, Alipay or WeChat Pay if you try them,
Yep.
to send transfers to each other. But also we will be providing extra services. Okay, I can already mention it right now briefly. Okay, we can provide in-app token swaps. So you don't
Okay.
have to buy from exchanges those app tokens you want, those app tokens on Neo. And we'll also be providing token mixing, sort of like Dash. Okay, token mixing is a very classic solution to on-chain anonymity because when transaction when goes through a state channel, what happened within a channel. So all this transaction record will be private, will
Right.
be protected. Nobody knows. But if somehow your on-chain address is associated with your real-world identity, you lose your anonymity, right?
Right.
So we'll integrate that function in the app.
It's very
That's
exciting.
before
And general goals.
as general goes, okay, we are looking at all these solutions we have in the industry right now. I'm not saying the crypto industry. I'm saying the general cryptography and the internet realm. So, for example, let's look at let's say cryptography, for example. Okay, we're not just going to achieve. For example, okay, this is a classic question with state channels.
Right.
I believe Raiden and the Lightning has the same issue. Okay, they do sort of the same way. So we have many different solutions, of course. So all these transactions within the channel, each transaction will be visible to the operator of this channel.
Okay.
basically the server. Okay, so what happens is if you are going to conduct a series of transactions, so we'll make the channel you use, basically the server you use, bounce from one another. So each server only sees one transaction. They don't have the entire history. They cannot associate with your identity. And the second solution is called homomorphic encryption.
Okay.
Homomorphic encryption we're even examining actually with some academia people here in Eastern China in different, all these major universities, and many of them, if we will be, presenting them in later days.
Okay.
Actually, are already competing with NIST. That's I believe, the national standard selection in US.
Wow.
About lattice-based cryptography and many other post-quantum cryptography solutions, and also homomorphic encryption and the full homomorphic encryption. So, this is basically the crown of cryptography world. Okay, not to say something less cutting edge. That would be zero knowledge proof.
Okay.
Okay, and ring signature. And there's a very easy solution, like I just mentioned, token mixing.
Exactly.
All this together, I can tell you, I can because I've been working with many crypto clients, so I can say I can take any one of these ideas and then make an anon coin or make another ICO.
Exactly.
I can tell you. But the truth is we are not going to, because I think all of these things should be gradually integrated together to provide the best performance we can offer in the entire industry to our users.
Sure.
We're not saying, okay, we're gonna raise extra money for that.
Sure.
We don't. It's simply something that should be done. I don't know why anybody doesn't do it. Yeah.
So let's talk about.
This is a very good question, because everybody should know that all the operation instructions on a blockchain or in a blockchain system is in the form of a transaction. Okay, so if I want to, Alice wants to send something to some money to Bob, it's a transaction. But if Alice wants to command his, let's say, crypto kitty or crypto pet or gaming figure to
Right.
make any move, not even move once, or pick up the litter, or eat something, okay, these are also transactions.
Okay.
So here comes the problem. The first one is with financial transactions. We know that the current transaction throughput of new network is ranking top, okay, of all the running minutes, okay, and but that's not going to be enough. If you face something Bitcoin network is facing from BCH miners, that's called the dust attack. Okay, they will launch a lot of countless, meaningless, pointless, but resource-consuming transactions. Say a very, very small amount of transactions at a very high frequency.
Right.
You will be basically attacking the entire network.
I see.
That's the first with financial transaction. Non-financial transaction, that will be DApp operation instructions. So if you want to play, let's say, a game, okay, and you, as anybody probably should know, that there will be a lot of commands, okay,
Yes.
like inputs. You will be asking your figure to move left, right, up and down, or fire, or do something. All these are operation instructions,
Right.
and all of them are being written on chain. And you are doing this. Thousands, if not millions, of players are also doing it, and this is just one game, and there should be 1,000 or if not millions of games, and this is just games.
Exactly.
There can be many other applications.
And David, like you said, sorry to interrupt, but basically you're talking about congestion. You're talking about
Yes.
significant congestion because of all the different
Yes.
transactions required for simple
Yes.
operations. But
Yes.
let's just move across to Ethereum for one moment before you finish your answer. Is that clearly that the CryptoKitties was a huge pressure on the on-chain network. So let's
Yes.
keep going with your. But that's just one illustration of the problem with on-chain methods of projects like this. We need the off-chain solution.
Exactly. Well, because from what we see, what we understand is most of these transactions, 99% of them, are not going to be transactions that are important. Okay, you will not launch a double spend attack on a transaction that you buy a $2 coffee or pick up a calculator, something like that. So if you make all these transactions on chain, it's highly, let's say, energy consuming and inefficient.
Right.
So what we do is to make all these transactions off chain. So take an example, you pay to your CryptoKitty on Neo, for example, and all these transactions of a whole day can be one simple transactions of a simple, balance change and the written on chain once.
Right.
So all these issues suddenly disappeared. So you will be looking at transaction throughput together. That will be the off-chain capability times the on-chain capability. So for example, if I can reach a million TPS off-chain, I can reach a billion, much more than that together with the on-chain capability. So this is the only way that you can make it work.
So
other than
so that's really significant considering
actually,
that we focus too much on the. So go ahead.
It's limited. It's only set. It's only limited by the hardware performance, but which that can be increased dramatically, and by the bandwidth, which that we will be embracing 5G. We'll be having much more advanced telecom infrastructure. So I believe all of these problems will be removed. And apart from that, if we can reach the 100% load of the entire network right now, we will be looking at astronomical figure. Okay,
absolutely.
So I just made it up. Let's say 1 million
Sure.
TPS, and the fact is could be so much more than that.
It's incredible.
Yeah, and you time that TPS with the on-chain capability of Neo. So right now is about 1,000. Okay?
Yes, right.
So.
That's phenomenal. David, that's going to be something that many listeners want to hear. They really don't understand the importance of the off-chain. But let's just talk a little bit more about the competitors. We know that Ethereum is also addressing this, and as we've talked about with BTC. But
Yes.
From your experience, if we talk about the infinite capability, infinite means endless, as you said. If that's the case, couldn't this also be endless and infinite for these other blockchains? And what sets apart Neo? Why is it that the off-chain scalability solutions are really special?
Okay, two things. Okay, one is that they are going to be limitless. They are going to be just as good. Okay, but the problem is not with, let's say, Lightning or Raiden. Let's say just take the Ethereum example. It's not with Raiden.
Okay.
It's with Ethereum. Okay, because if you have a mainnet that has such a low processing power, okay, really low compared to Neo, and you have such fragile system, especially with your Turing complete language, you already invented your unique programming language, and you have so many problems. That's a very serious issue. Okay, I'm not saying we've been working with him. I don't want to point his name, but I mean, it should be a problem that have been avoided. I think it's the architectural design of the system. But Neo, we know, is much more stable.
Yes.
And much more secured. So what you're looking at 1.1 is not because I'm better than Raiden, but because Neo is better than Ethereum.
Thank you very much.
Fact, I've been saying when I was with Anshirs 1,000 times, nobody believed, but you will. Second point is about different, execution we have than our competitors, because most of these competitors, I give them big applause for doing such a fantastic work, but they are only binded by the contract they made to the community that they're gonna develop this protocol. But they are not, really caring for the users, because users cannot access your damn protocol.
Exactly.
They need
exactly.
a very friendly interface. They need it to be friendly. They need to be nice. They need it to be fancy. Think about this. If you have a very ugly interface, do you want it to show to your friends and to promote this crypto you have? They are already facing a lot of pressure when you try to lecture them about something they totally don't understand, blockchain, right? They need to be fancy. So the problem here is you're asking a non-profit organization like us or like Raiden to do something so good, they don't have the economic incentive, right?
Right.
So our model is more practical. That is to delegate all the responsibilities of building the protocol
Right.
to our Singaporean foundation. But all this work of building a user-friendly interface and app and promote it and make it a profit-making product is with the for-profit company Restone. And we'll be adding a lot of extra services, which we can make a small portion of profit out of each transaction or certain functions used and promote it. And so this company has continuous economic incentive to keep delivering good services.
Absolutely.
This is a very important fact. A lot of people do not seem to care, but it does make a huge impact, huge difference in our industry. Because very good example will be decentralized exchanges and decentralized exchanges. We all know that only centralized exchanges provide the best services. Not because that they have a better technology, I think most of the time, but because they have a continuous economic incentive. Rather than that, you raise a lot of money one time, and you will probably stop building the decentralized exchange protocol at a certain point in the future.
Right.
So what I'm trying to say is making profits is really important, okay? And it's not that you make the profits and make yourself rich. And we already did. I can tell you all the founders of my team already did, okay,
Right.
in the past year. It's about being able to provide a constant, let's say, incentive to the entire team and make this, move into the future, because we all know what Neo is looking at, it looks like right now, what Trinity looks right now, anything looks right now, are not going to be what's going to really take over the entire world financial system. It's going to be something much more advanced. So it's also important for every blockchain company to sustain itself, to live to see that day. And if you can, be the leader in this movement.
Well, let's just to interject there. Let's talk about leadership. Neo is the world leader in its robust approach to include trust in a very, very open source way. So what we need to do now is talk about the component that you mentioned, which is the permission component, that profit component that you were talking about before. And the reason why is because clearly you have links with ontology. So could you tell us about your very clear links with ontology and why that's also so important to the profit component of your plan?
Okay. So Jizhou Dong, he's the former head of blockchain at Wanda, and he's now the chief strategist of ontology. But of course, Li Jun was my former colleague, and we were in the same office every day, and I even ride it in his car for several times. So basically, we all know each other very well, and this is from personal standpoint.
Sure.
For the project, it's I was at their launch conference at the Folsom Building in Bond area in November. Because when I see this, I know this is something they have been talking about for a very long time.
Okay.
They actually already did have the prototype ready several months ago, but they gradually, blending in a lot of other features, and they made it into a brand new architecture, because Li Jun is an architect.
Yes.
So, and we were looking at but it's still the very same concept. That is to identify different things on the blockchain. Okay, we talk about things, not just money. Okay,
Right.
not just money, but personal identity, but also identity of a certain online, virtual, or real world
Product.
Not necessarily product. It can be just an item. Okay, any item. So they will be identifying it, providing it with a unique Onchain ID. And this ID will become the very important bridge between blockchain and the real world, because we all know that the link between blockchain and the real world is so weak.
Yes.
And all the other solutions have been focusing on a decentralized solution, that is to through Oracle, through prediction market, through
Yes.
crowdsourced wisdom. I don't think it really work at this time.
Right.
It's not ready, and not because the technology, probably technology too, but mostly because of the users are not ready. This is for the next generation.
Exactly.
This generation, I'm afraid, is not going to be ready ever. So their approach, ontologist approach, ID everything, I think is very, 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 let's say, practical, and it's going to easily receive a lot of support from the government. We all know that's something you have to accept if you want to mass adoption and to educate the ordinary people.
Absolutely.
So,
and just to interrupt there as well.
This
Sorry.
ID system, what Trinity can do is, with this ID system, we become a protocol that can be recognized as well, because we all know that from the government standpoint of view, they don't want you to be looking too shady. They don't want people and things that they cannot control. So we'll probably launch extra functionality in the Trinity app for the users, that they can import their ontology ID, and they become suddenly certified, right?
Okay.
They are certified. So there can be extra business awaiting them only if they are certified. Okay, for example, many business that's going to be, coming up in China or probably in other countries.
Right.
Say, for example, you want to make yourself eligible for this ICO investments. I think this is what most people care about right now, right? You have to be accredited. How can you say you are accredited? That's a pain in the ass process. Okay,
Right.
in US it's probably easier. They get yourself on coin list. What was that? Angel list. I'm sorry. But in China, it's totally different. But with ontology's ID, we can work with commercial banks, for example, that they check this person's, let's say, fiat asset. We know that's another very good asset, but that's a fiat asset. They can tell that, and they will upload to the system, and we know it's certified, it's accredited. Then this person becomes whitelisted for any crypto investment.
Makes a lot of sense.
Is one of the scenarios.
Absolutely.
And at this point, the most important thing in terms of the game theory, at this point, this user, government doesn't have any more excuses to stop him from investing in this, what we classify as virtual commodity, that is crypto, right?
Right.
So, and this is something everybody has been hoping for, and this just with the KYC scenario. Okay, like I said, ontology will be able to identify everything. So there are many business models we haven't thought of yet, but I think it will be enabled and come up in the near future.
Right, and just to recap that, essentially what we're saying with the Trinity Network is you're not just focused on the open source protocol to support non-profit. That's very clear because of the other model you've proposed, because you also want to be a viable business. And what Ontology Trust provides is a means for you to do that through their architecture. Would that be fair to say?
Yes. There will be a very important, let's say, we'll be providing each other with the technology, because from another perspective, all these users, let's say the corporate clients of Ontology, they build their own blockchain or blockchain for specific application. They will want a payment solution. A payment solution that is fast, that can process a lot of transactions.
I see.
And are secured.
And that's you.
Yeah, exactly.
So
exactly.
Essentially what you're saying is the DNA protocol, which is a mirror image of the DBFT protocol of NEO, that's what's being on-sold for the enterprise market that Onchain represents. So they're going to be utilizing that as a strategy, but they don't have the payment rail. They don't have the TPS speed that you're going to provide. So with your protocol, that couples with that perfectly to really make it expensive. So that's very interesting. Thank you for clearing that up. That's very interesting. Let's talk about some of the key features. On the website, we talk about things like locking, interacting off-chain, Is it publishing? Is that one of the
Mm-hmm.
terms? And also channel routers. Can you just talk very briefly about the features? Just wrapping up in
Well,
in one encapsulate.
it works just like every other state network, state channel network, but we have certain differences that will much better enhance the user experience. So to launch a state channel transaction, it's not a transaction in a centralized server and that's all. It's also all along the way attached to the blockchain. So you launch a state channel transaction, Alice sends Bob something, okay, and this transaction itself yields a nonce, okay. This nonce is stamped. So if Bob sends something back to Alice, that's another transaction,
right.
But it has a later nonce, a higher nonce. So that's we call it the latest state.
Okay.
So the state means the state of their balance change will change gradually, and with every latest state, they can conclude all the transactions and close this channel.
Okay.
And when they close this channel, this state will be uploaded as the final balance change on the minute. So you can see, even it's within a server and two peers, they cannot falsify transactions. They cannot double spend because, for example, I send you some NEO and you deny it. You have to provide a transaction that proves otherwise with a higher nonce. Otherwise, I am providing the latest state. The blockchain will falsely settle this transaction according to what I am providing. So you still cannot falsify, and if you do, you will be punished. This is a indispensable feature of state channel, but not so good for user experience. That's the state channel deposit. You have to put in the deposit, and each transactions is capped at this deposit.
Right.
So when you violated it and you cheated, you'll be punished with this state channel deposit.
Right.
But what we're trying to do, this is very important.
Yes.
What we're trying to do is, in order to make this user experience better, you will feel psychologically, a lot of burden, right? When you buy a coffee, $2, you have to pay $2 deposit as collateral first.
Right.
That sounds awkward, right? So what we do is, for example, if you are KYC'd with your ontology ID, we can allow you to be free from small amount payments with deposits. Okay, you don't have to pay deposits for small and micro transactions.
Right.
That's very important, and we are not afraid of that because you presented your ontology ID and we know your real world identity. Yes. If you cheat, so that'll be just fine. And so if you think about it, it will has all the good qualities and the user experience and performance of the existing systems, centralized systems like Alipay, like WeChat Pay, but also all the goodies of a blockchain-based solution.
That's an excellent way to sum that part up. And also, what's really clear is that all those features we were talking about just in that moment really streamline into one solution, that is ease of transaction, making it really fluid and seamless. In terms of that, if we could move across now, Dave, to the ICO, let's move across now to the tokens. What many people want to know, obviously, if they're hearing things like infinite scalability on a platform that is already very robust, how can they get involved, and when can they get involved?
With the token sale.
Exactly.
I have to be honest with you and with all the viewers and with everyone in the community.
Right.
I have to stress this: we are not seriously raising money to develop the protocol. We do use the money to develop it and promote it and incentivize community contributors, like we said.
Sure.
But if we don't have the funding, we can deliver it as well. Because this team, this portfolio company is well funded, and all the founders have been in this industry for a very long time. Okay, we have seen the bull market and we have got a good piece of it, so we are fine. And the token sale is more about distributing the tokens to the community. Okay, so we are hosting 2 rounds. The first one is about to be concluded very soon, right
Okay.
after the new year. That's the private round, and it's about 1/3 of the total distribution,
Okay.
and 2/3 will be in a public round and offered to the community in, I think, end of January, the beginning of February, we'll be announcing by then, and it just works like any other NEO-based ICO.
Okay.
And so 2 things very important. I have to stress this is about compliance. First thing,
Sure.
we do not accept Chinese citizen, Singaporean citizen, and U.S. citizen, but we are also not authorized by anyone to check and to verify your passports. Okay,
Okay.
I just make that thing very clear.
Thank you.
Second thing is, it can tend to look at these 2 rounds as domestic round and the international round because there's no discount or special treatment for the
Domestic.
private round donors.
Right.
Yeah. So people who are participating in the private round will be donating and receiving the Trinity credits at the same exchange rate as all the other public round donors.
Wow,
It's
that's
the same
very
rate.
that's very
Same
fair.
rate. There's no discount. I can tell you 100%. There's no discount. And the reason why is because Chinese people learned it first. I'm sorry about that.
No, but thank
Chinese
you for
people
making this clear. Thank you so much for
here.
making this clear.
I cannot avoid it because I mean we've been hiring a lot of guns, so people heard about it. So they learned it first, but it's 1/3 of the supply. Okay,
Right.
2/3 will be for the public. So you can look at it as domestic round and international rounds.
I see.
Okay, yeah, standardized neo contract donation. And we were closely working with Neo team. They are developing something really fancy. Okay, they are
Right.
they're developing let's say a cross-chain protocol specifically for fundraising.
Wow.
So you will be able to accept Bitcoin, Ethereum, and ERC20 token and Neo based tokens for your smart contracts, for your Neo smart contracts, and it will have a little trigger. So let's say your Bitcoin is deposited to a certain address and it's been notified, and it triggers let's say a call in the smart contract
Right.
that they give you Neo tokens. So this is basically cross-chain. We don't know if this little tool will be ready by the time we do the public sale. If it does, we'll definitely implement it. Not because, mostly because it's fancy. I think
It's very
it will
fancy.
demonstrate a lot of things. But before that happens, the conservative way is that at least we will be accepting Neo.
Wow.
And
That sounds exciting to listen to that cross-chain
that's a
means.
and the entire token distribution you can check up on the website.
Yes.
Because everything you should know is firstly, before February 2019,
Yes.
not a single token will be given to the team members.
Okay, that's
Okay.
important to know. So
That's very important.
not before February 2019, there'll be no distribution of tokens.
There will be no distributions of tokens to team members.
Right.
So there will be like 18% reserved for the team, but before that there will not one. Okay, and we will show these tokens because it will be on the rich list.
Okay.
Okay, we'll be presenting it and highlight it, and people can supervise it every day.
Okay, so this is a backtrack, so we're clear. But what about distribution to the public? Can they access those tokens in 2018?
This is the very interesting thing.
Okay.
Public and private round donors will have all their tokens in their addresses right after the Spring Festival in China. So after the Spring Festival in China, it will be February 23rd, around that time. Okay.
So February 23rd, and what year is that?
2018.
Exactly. So that's important for the
Yeah,
listeners.
yeah.
So while some of the token distribution won't be allocated until 2019 for team members, the public can access it the year before in February 23 of 2018.
So, yes, about 2 or 3 weeks after the cross sale.
Excellent.
Let's see. donation. I'm sorry.
So just in terms of, and Dave, just in terms of advertisement, you'll be advertising this through social media, through support with Neo, so people are aware of this well before.
Of course they will. Of course they will, and we will also announce it by the time we are doing the new DevCon. Okay, we
Okay.
will not talk about token sale at the DevCon, but we have evenings and we have weekends. Anyway,
Absolutely.
um, so yes, I think everybody will have their chance, and most importantly, I think it's not that we're making this into a very good speculation tool,
Right.
but I do assure all the viewers, uh, I've been doing token sale for a long time, helping all these other clients,
Yes.
and I can tell you, at least 30% of these projects on Coin Market Cap top 150 lists
Yes.
were my clients. So I know
Wow.
very well how to.
Sorry, Dave, I think we just lost connection, so we'll just wait for that.
So I was saying that I have experience with more than 30 or 40 token sales, and most of them, their names you have heard of or traded with, or you have them in your wallet right now. So I know very well how to execute this and be responsible for all the, let's say, community participants, and about, let's see, only about 3 weeks. Okay, the reason why there's 3 weeks, I understand. At around the time of the February, everybody in the West is back from the holidays and full of energy and trying to
That's
build
right.
a very good career in this year. But that's the very time that the entire China is about to take their holiday.
Right.
There will be a 1 week interval because of the Spring Festival, and after that we'll be back on 23rd. So that's the time we distribute the tokens.
Okay.
The reason why we distribute at that time is we'll be ready to launch trading on certain exchanges very soon at around the time. There will be Chinese exchanges, there will be Western exchanges.
I see.
Cannot give names. Name
No.
of the game is that you don't give the names before you can.
Of course.
And yeah, that's a basic.
But what is exciting, though, just to interrupt, is that you are going to be doing the exchange release very quickly after you finalize the sales.
Mm, the exchange listing will happen right after, very closely after the token distribution.
Okay.
So that will be after 23rd.
I see. I think we've lost the connection once again.
Hi.
Sorry about that.
Hi.
So we're up to after the 23rd, Dave. So
Yeah.
just give it some time. Yep. Okay. So the after the 23rd, we learned that the exchanges will then be able to, interact.
Trade. Yes.
So, yeah.
Yes. Exactly. Because once you distribute the tokens as a blockchain asset, if you don't allow it to be traded, others, they can just do it. So we will be, getting listed at around the time.
It's very exciting. Dave, thank you for making that very clear, because many people wanted to know exactly when and how the ICO would happen.
We'll make it very clear.
Yeah, we appreciate that. Dave, if we could just talk about your team right now. It's very clear you have a lot of experience. If you could just put it in a nutshell, where is the bulk of your experience in your team? Is it marketing? Is it engineering? Where is it? And where are you focused?
I think it's comprehensive. We have everything we need. Okay, people with experience with every aspect of a blockchain project.
Yes.
Okay, we have people covering marketing, covering the design, the community, media, PR, and on the other side, development of the protocol, development of the interface, development of the let's see. Some peripheral, apparatus like what I was referring to, token mixing, extra functionality. We have people doing all these fronts. We have our co-founder, Yiping. He's the former government affairs director at Onchain. So
Wow.
he's covering.
Wow, that's significant.
From that will be. Yeah, he's from Onchain as well. We'll be cooperating on that as well. I shouldn't say CDO. Okay, if at the company I can say CDO, but if we at the foundation, the project, we should probably call him the core dev. Guangfeng, he has a lot of experience with BitShares, with Ethereum, and close to all these people. By the way, our Hangzhou office is right beside M Token. If you know M Token from Ethereum. And yeah, so basically that's the case. I think this is a very comprehensive team, and basically all of them have experience with more than one token sale and with more than one blockchain company.
Right.
So this is yeah, so this is a very experienced team. I cannot think of another team in the industry right now that has
And what's
such a
amazing, and what's amazing also,
yeah.
David, is that you have those interconnections with ontology, with on-chain. You're well experienced in engineering, you're well experienced in marketing, exceptionally so. So the thing I wanted to ask you now, moving forward, in terms of the vision, if we sort of look like ahead of time towards 2019, what do you see for your company, for the open source and for the profit component in this these next coming years?
I'm my milestone, my target with Trinity protocol is very simple. We say it matures, becomes usable, stable, and being adopted not just by my company but by other companies. They develop a business out of it and has an ecosystem around it and become something truly decentralized.
Hmm.
Okay, that's my vision for the protocol. With my company, it's more about Neo. I want to see my company becoming a consensus of Neo, as if consensus to Ethereum. That will not just be doing there's products on Trinity, but also all around services for anyone who wants to contribute to the Neo ecosystem. Whether you want to explore the potential of your business being tokenized, how to tokenize it, how to use the existing infrastructure, like by then Trinity, Ontology, and the Neo smart contract, of course, and how to do the marketing and the community work. We
Right.
will be helping with this entire process. And the goal is to not just to make profits out of it, but to prove to other people how to do this, how to execute this. Other people, they don't necessarily have to do this, and they know many of the these components, and they can do it themselves. And that's how you can make Neo ecosystem really shine
That's really
and
amazing
adopted
because,
and
sorry to
decentralized.
interrupt, but I just want to make it really clear for the listeners, just as a wrap up, you're not going to be utilized in every blockchain. You're not aiming to work with many blockchains beyond Neo. Is that correct? We want to really clarify you have a special connection with Neo.
No, no. Simple answer is no. Not gonna be blockchain agnostic. We will only be focusing on Neo, and Trinity is born for Neo. I've seen tons of projects trying to communicate and cooperate with Neo, and they all say they can be blockchain agnostic.
Okay,
And that sounds to me, we will know what it means. Okay,
sure.
and it's not to say not sincere. Okay, many of them have chosen Ethereum for a very long time ago, but it's not going to produce any tangible progress with Neo. So we will not, we will, of course, we will not be doing that. In fact, the name of the project Trinity is not because of the religious reason. It's
Right.
because of the movie where the name of Neo comes from. Okay, the Matrix. So in the movie, Trinity is the girlfriend of Neo.
Okay.
So,
So you're directly
if you like,
aimed
look
to
at
support
this
Neo.
design, we are not going to be blockchain agnostic.
That's
Yeah.
very interesting. David, it's been an absolute pleasure. We've learned so much about your network. It's clear that you are directly supporting Neo. It's clear that you
Hmm.
are providing off-scale solutions that are infinite in their potential. It's clear
Hmm.
that you've articulated a very important mixing component with your application. You've also explained that you have a lot of experience in your team. What is fascinating about you also is that you have had previous experience with several major clients. So all of these things together, basically, we can see that Neo is going to be a force in the future through people like you. You are going to strengthen Neo to become a very scalable blockchain and a very competitive one. So my final question to you is, can you see Neo being the leader, one of the leaders, if not the leader in the future for blockchain?
I think the time Neo becomes leader will be around end of 18 or beginning of 19. That's about the time everybody will recognize this, okay? As the, you know, I used to educate a lot of people in interviews, written or video, that Neo will have, that was anxious, will have the world's second working smart contract system. Nobody
Right.
believes. And we're now seeing with Neo's own, Onchain scaling scheme and Trinity, it will become fully supportive to all this DApp ecosystem and becomes the only blockchain, the blockchain with the highest processing power. And you should believe. And we're now seeing it's becoming the leader through this and that business model or government connection or technology, and you will see it happen. And most importantly, like you were just saying, I think I was the overseas manager of Answers. Okay, I think I will still be the best overseas manager for Neo in a different way.
I would tend
Right.
to agree, absolutely. And on that note, David Lee, it's been an absolute pleasure. You're very experienced in so many ways. It's been a privilege to talk to you exclusively about this. I hope to talk to you again in the future as well, David, about the evolution of your project,
Thank
because
you.
obviously with Neo, I'll be following you along. But for now, on behalf of all the listeners, of all the people who believe in Neo, of all the people who believe in scalability, we would like to
Mhm.
thank you sincerely for your time. It's been a long interview. And until next
Mhm.
time, I will definitely be speaking with you in the future. But thank you for your time right now.
Thank you.
And before we go, I suppose, not to be rude, was there anything you wanted to add just to finish off?
Well, I think that's about it. But I do want to announce something that I will be speaking at the new DevCon, January 30 to 31 in San Francisco. So anybody who's interested, you're welcome to come to the DevCon, not just because of Neo, but because of Trinity. And we'll be hosting a very an after party in the city.
Okay.
So yeah, hope to connect to everyone
Awesome.
who's willing to come. Yeah, and
Okay, so guys, for all the
we'll,
people in the world who love a party but also
we'll
love a
have a
great
great
company.
yeah, we'll have a great time. And we are also on the other side, Restone in the other project I didn't mention. Will be it's not a project, it's an infrastructure for Neo. Okay, it's the EMP5 wallet. We will be hosting a conference in Singapore, and so I think in spring next year. So.
Right.
March or April, so it can be another, Neo DevCon or Neo DevCon ASEAN or Neo DevCon Singapore, and
Right.
anybody be welcome.
Okay, so the
There,
two S's, San Fran and Singapore, two events coming up for Neo, very exciting
yes,
ones.
exactly, and you are always welcome here. And
Well, thank you so
I've
much.
been traveling different offices of mine, in Chengdu or Hangzhou or Shanghai or in Singapore. And if you want to connect to me, I think you know how to,
Thank you
of
so
course.
much. I really appreciate it. I know how busy you are, and for all the listeners as well, it's been a privilege in every way to understand it. But once
Mhm.
again, I look forward to finding out more about the DevCons. I look forward to finding out more about how you integrate with Neo.
Mhm.
But for now, uh,
If you enjoy this content, please subscribe to our YouTube channel and click the little bell beside the subscribe button to ensure you get notified of future important videos and live streams.